Welcome everyone on today's Metal3 Community meeting. My name is Adam Rosman. I will be your host. Today is 20th of July 2022. Please don't forget that the meeting is recorded. And as always, we would start with introductions, but there is no new participants in the meeting, so we can skip right away to the proposal of Feruz. We have been discussed this here and there, but I think now we all agree that this is the good time to proceed with this. So please, Feruz.
Yeah, thank you. Hello. I wanted to basically start and then maybe finalize this work that we start eventually releasing the BMO as well, as we do with CAPM3 and IPAM, and on top of BMO, maybe ironic image as well. So we have discussed in the past couple of times over the GitHub issues. I couldn't find, there was someone opened some time ago the issue on BMO, but also there's this tracking issue from the Metal3 docs that we've been discussing, that starting the release process for BMO. And I think in the past we have seen a couple of times that that we had to do some extra work because we don't have the release process in place for BMO. One of the reasons or the benefits we would get is immediately that we would be able to map the releases of the CAPM3 with the BMO, plus ironic, because right now, at least for if I take the CI in Metal3 event, we are using, we have the way to use different tags of the different versions of the ironic image. So for example, you have two different versions of the ironic image with two different tags, but under the hood, the code base is the same. And the reason we ended up like that is whenever we are releasing the CAPM3, we want to make sure that the current state of the ironic image and then the BMO is also tracked. So what we do is we push the tag and we use the tag. But it happens that sometimes the couple of tags are pointing to the same code base. The reason is also we would like to move our project from sandbox eventually to this incubating, and one of the, I think, prerequisites or the goals that we mentioned in the last in the first annual report was that we would put this releasing process in place for the BM as well. I was trying to find out what is the reason that we haven't done it yet. That's why I was asking a couple of people over the Slack if they could join and then share maybe some thoughts. Maybe there are some reasons that we're not aware of that, which is blocking us to proceed. But we thought that we could use the semantic versioning, which is very, very common in many different projects, including Kubernetes, and then the CAPI, and then the CAPM3. I think all of you already familiar with the semantic, the versioning, how it works and so on. So I will not just go through the explaining, but I've just included notes in case. So I would rather focus on how we do, for example, backwards, backports, branching, and then the release cycle. For example, for the backports, we sometimes do backporting of some patches in CAPM3, only if it's some back fixes or some minor things that would make sense to have in the older releases as well, but no behavioral change or API changes that we accept to the older releases. Perhaps we could do the same, and we're following this based from, we copied this from also CAPI community. For the branching, whenever we're having major or minor releases of the CAPM3 code, then we create the branch. We didn't have a major release yet, but we had the minor release. And at the time we had to create the branch and then continue releasing from that branch. For example, if we have 0.4.0, the new release, then we would have the release branch called release-0.4, for example. And on top of that, we would continue making some releases, but those would be, for example, patch releases, some very minor changes for that branch or the release. And it has been working pretty fine until now, both in Cappy and for us as well. And we were thinking that we could follow the same paths for Beam as well. One question that I don't have answer, or I think it needs to be discussed, and I think it depends on many aspects, is how often do we do the release? If we take Kubernetes, for example, they do 3 times in a year these days, for example. For Cappy, I think, I'm not sure, but they don't have strong like concrete dates, but I think it depends on their backlogs and then the plans that they have made in the past. I'm not sure if they have like strong deadlines like Kubernetes has, for example. Same for Kaplan 3. We don't really have exact dates when we would do the next release. It just depends on the amount of the patches that went in, depending on the patches, like what those patches are introducing, if it is like a breaking change or if it is like some deprecations and so on, then yes, maybe it's faster, but otherwise it just depends on the flow of the patches. So there is no concrete procedure for that. And that I don't know how it would be for BMO. Maybe that the same way, or maybe we could agree on some plan for that. But yeah, that's something to discuss. And then I just included this process how we do in Kaplan 3, like the releasing process. Most of the things are automated. We don't do it manually as before. The only thing we do right now manually is just pushing the tag. So someone who has admin rights in the Metal3.io GitHub org creates a tag with the release version, for example, then pushes the tag. Whenever it appears on the GitHub, then our GitHub action gets kicked off, and then it just starts the process based on the makefile targets that we have written. And what it does is basically just create some files for us, like the manifest, like the provider files for the Kaplan 3. And then once it's finished, it just generates a random URL. And then that person, whoever pushed the tag, has to go to the GitHub action result, check the release nodes that has been generated automatically before clicking the release button. And then if everything's okay, then we just release. It could be automated even more than that, even like pushing the tags, but we didn't have the need yet. So yeah, that's how it works. I don't know if there are quite many people. I see Manchu and Zane from other teams. If you have thoughts, please let me know, or any objections. It's unfortunate that we don't have quite many people to discuss that, but I saw a couple of pluses on the Slack message, but I would like to hear if there are any objections or blockers that would hold us. If not, perhaps we could start the process of releasing. That's all.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have a lot of people out sick today. But yeah, I have no objections. I think as far as the release cycle, we did briefly discuss this once before. I think it would make sense to follow the Kubernetes release cycle and do like 3 releases a year, and then we rebase all of the controller runtime and stuff, once per Kubernetes release. that would make sense to me. And that would also, from a Red Hat perspective, like that's what we're doing downstream as well. So that would tie in nicely. I guess semantic versioning is hard when we don't actually have a stable API, because we do make changes to the bare metal host API. And so like every release would effectively be a major release, I suspect. So I don't know if we want to do that or just stick with 0 point something releases for now, until we get a stable API. That might be another way to do it. I think that's what's kind of been the blocker, is we didn't have, we didn't declare a bare metal host API stable yet. So it kind of wasn't clear what to do about the versioning. But I think we discussed this on Slack. Like, I think you're right. I think it makes sense to just go ahead and do the versioning and not wait for a stable API. So it's just figuring out how we want to number those versions. Given that we're still at the point where any changes to the bare metal host will go into the V1 Alpha 1 and not, we don't have the ability yet to create a new version.
Yeah. So I was just reading this SimServer.org, like the guideline, and they've mentioned there that if you feel that your API is not stable and you're having quite a lot of breaking change, then it might be good to start with, for example, 0 dot something, like we do in CAPM3, which is not stable and we're in 0. While CAPI recently announced that they are stable and then they moved to 1 point something, basically. Maybe we could do the same for BMO, start with 0, since we haven't announced it yet as a stable, with 0 for the major would be the 0, and then the rest we would just increment by the time. And considering that it's not stable yet, maybe we could avoid following the Kubernetes release cycle, which is 3 times in a year, because I assume it would be good for now to have smaller and more frequent releases than big and less frequent releases, since we're not yet stable. Because there might be some quite new features that someone might want to use, or some other reasons, and it might take like 4 months for them to wait for that feature to be used. But perhaps once we reach stability, then maybe you could stick to the Kubernetes way of releasing and then doing a bit less releases a year.
Okay, that sounds reasonable to me. I mean, I think once we get it up and running, we'll see how it works and we can make any tweaks necessary, but that sounds good.
Cool. Any other comments or questions from anyone else?
So as understood, do we pair the CAPM3 release with the BMO? Like, because in CI we tested that way, right? So we have to make sure that they are compatible when we release them. So would that mean that whenever we do, or whenever we define the, let's say, release?
Sorry that I cut you off, but your voice is very bad. It's like coming from a box or underwater or something.
Sorry, let me do this. So is it better now?
A bit,
Seems-
but not really.
The same.
Same.
Now looks good. Sounds good. Can you speak?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, much better.
Thanks. Yeah, there was a problem with my microphone. Sorry. Yeah, I was telling, did I understood correct that we would have both CapM3, let's say, whenever we do the CapM3 release, we have to do the BMO release as well as usual, or we agreed to have quarterly releases as Kubernetes, because we usually tag them together, right? So that's why maybe I didn't get that point.
I'm actually not sure if we want to make the BMO releases dependent on the CapM3 releases or the vice versa.
Yeah, I agree with Ferus. I don't think we need to tie these projects to each other, that or like the releases close to each other. We don't have requirements to do it from the Cloud Native Foundation or otherwise. So I think if we just release a CapM3, then we just say that, okay, this CapM3 is being tested with this particular version of BMO, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm not saying we have to, just wanted to make sure that, so then we will follow the same way that we do for CapM3 and IPAM. And one more question regarding the ironic image, because we do tag the ironic image at the same time when we release CapM3 and we tag both BMO and ironic image. Do you think tagging or like releasing from ironic image makes sense at all? Or how do you foresee that one? Because we are currently tagging the ironic images whenever we do a release.
This is definitely the point where I would love to have some of the ironic people on the call, and nobody's here today.
Yeah, fortunately.
For the CI, it would be good to have the concrete releases. Like I see the benefit for the CI when we want to, for example, during the upgrade, that would be much easier probably. But as Zane said, maybe if we had some ironic folks here, that would be much better to answer. We could perhaps ask people on the Slack rocket about ironic image repository.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can already keep rolling with the BMO, and on the way, let's see how it goes. Maybe we could do the same for the ironic, if the ironic folks agree and see the benefit of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see an issue with it. I guess the issue is if you're currently tagging it alongside CapM3 and CapM3 isn't going to have the same release cycle. Which tags should people look at? I think that's the question.
Yeah, I think that the sustainable way would be, in my opinion, to release the ironic image separately. To have that would have a separate release cycle. We would not tag it anymore together with CapM3, neither PMO. It's only that in the release notes or the metadata or whatever that we generate, there we would say that this version is of CapM3 compatible with this PMO and this ironic, and the release cycles themselves could be independent.
So I don't know if I agree with that, because isn't the deployment information for ironic in the BMO repo?
Yeah, but what I mean is that if there is recently ironic was released, and you say that you release a new BMO, and and it's a bit like it's still tested or released by testing with the older Ironic, then you can just put that in that BMO release. Like, yeah. So my thing is just that I would avoid tying them together in a sense, like the process is like, of course they like the versions would be specified in relation to each other. So that would be like that is needed, but I just don't want like these situations where you cannot release BMO because you are waiting for Ironic or vice versa or something.
Yeah. Yeah, we really need to talk to Ricardo. He will have a good idea of whether that makes sense. My first instinct is that it should be released alongside the BMO, because if we change the way that we deploy Ironic and that requires changes in Ironic, then those will have to happen in lockstep. But he would have a better idea of what sort of, whether those changes happen regularly or if it's something that could be handled by independent release cycles. Can Frizz or somebody take an action to kind of summarize the outcome of this meeting on the mailing list, just so that everyone has an idea what's happening?
Yep, I can do that.
Perfect, thank you.
And also, I wanted to ask, like, Zane, do we need to go through the proposal process for adding this releasing in BMO, or can we just right away start adding, for example, some makefile targets and then just set up, like, of course, it should be documented for sure, but do we have to go through the proposal process with Metal3 docs, or can we skip that?
I feel like we can skip it.
Yeah.
I think if we have something on the mailing list saying, hey, everyone, this is happening, like,
yeah,
if you have opinions, speak up now. But it's, it's a thing we all know needs to be done.
Right.
So, yeah.
Cool.
I think maybe if we definitely need documentation about how to do it. But I don't think we need to block on like a spec or anything.
Yeah. I will also make sure to document and then start working on that, because I think we'll need a couple of makefile targets like we have in Kaplan3. In Kaplan3, we have more assets that we add to the release, which is not really needed in BMO, I assume, but I'll check. But before that, anyways, I'll have the PRs in place and I'll tag you as well for the review, and we can discuss that as well.
Yep. Awesome. I unfortunately have a meeting conflict, so I have to drop in about 2 minutes.
No worries, Evan. Thanks for.
Yeah, thanks. Is there anyone who has to drop, because we would have triaging also today? Okay.
Don't let me stop you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Okay. I think then we can. Do you have anything else, Ferus, related to this, or?
No. So just for the sake of the recording, just to summarize, so I'll send the email on the mailing list that we're proceeding with the adding the release process for the BMO, and I will also add the questions whether we want to do the same for Ironic image, and I will also maybe ask the same on Kubernetes bare metal Slack. Yeah, that's all. I think we can move on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And is there anybody else who want to bring up something? If not, then let's quickly go through the triaging. So this one was reopened by you, Feroz, I think. Yes, I will just accept this. Yes. Okay. We have 4 that has been has had insufficient information. Just let's quickly scroll through them. Did we get the info or not? No. Okay, here is something. So this was for dev control plane provisioning doesn't complete when used with physical machine. We asked for additional information and we got a log. Okay. This is quite a lot. Okay. So mhm. Yes, there is. There is. Okay. I think here the main problem is that basically the same ironic config and yeah, the same ironic config was applied for the deployment, like a real physical deployment, as it is used in the devenv, right? Do you understand it the same way? Like actually the interfaces has not been configured according to the physical hardware. Actually, I mean, from this explanation, I understand it that way.
Yes, it very much looks like the bare metal app configuration that we have, because we have some modifications in Metal3 devenv, specifically when we run the BML with the real hardware. Those interfaces are different, and then we have a configuration in the template files where we choose specific interface based on the what kind of job is running. If it's like BML, then we would choose like ENP to S, or otherwise we would choose something else. So most probably that modification is missing. Like if this person is running Metal3 devenv, then he could adjust that template accordingly based on his setup, which interfaces he's using. So that might help, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think it is just a misunderstanding. I think this person expected the like the devenv code or ironic to figure out these things, but it's actually manually configured.
No,
as
exactly.
you have said. Yes. Okay. I think I will assign here myself and I will answer this, but I won't accept it as triaged because this is basically a question. And I'm not sure if that needs to go through the triage. So like, if it's just a question and we can answer it, well, yeah, I think even if it's a question, we have to accept it. And then we can answer it. I will assign myself and link here the template file and some explanation. I will do that. Okay. And then control plane provision, and that was this one, right? No. Okay, this probably, this seems to belong to the same person.
Yeah, it seems the same issue as well. That is about control plane provision is not complete.
Yeah.
It's very much. Is it the same issue, or what does it say at the end? Okay, there was a response, and then yeah, I have to check it offline.
Yeah, we have to check it offline, and I have a feeling that these two are related, these two problems. But I won't accept it right now. Okay, storage errors in CapM3. This is fresh, and Anwar has given some info here, but so roll out anymore. Skipping machines and other things are failing, but they work again after downgrading to Anwar.
I was participating partially on this conversation over the Slack. So they were using CapM3 v1.1, I believe, and then after they uplifted to v1.2, they started saying this issue where there are some issues with storage, and that is related to the provider ID. The provider ID work was merged to v1.1, but there was a follow-up that we merged to v1.2. So there could be some discrepancy between them, and we asked them to actually uplift to the latest, but they're seeing this problem. So, however, we are not seeing this in our environment, because they were saying initially they are seeing it during the upgrade, and we have upgrade in place, E2E upgrades in place, where we do upgrade from v055 to v1.2, which is the latest of CapM3, and we don't see the specific error. So I believe you can triage it, accept it, and someone should look into it. But this is like very specific to the vSphere people who are facing this.
Okay. Was it mentioned here, or okay? You had a discussion. Okay, I will accept it. I think I will label it as a bug. I will also ask here for help. And so this is on top of VMware, right? Or how is it like? Oh, no, it's okay, sorry, I misspoke. So you said it was the vSphere people and then they,
Yeah, it's most probably they are trying the Metal Cube in vSphere
yeah.
deployments.
Okay. Although this information is not shared here anywhere, I think. Should we ask for more information about the environment? I think yes, right? So
What kind of information? I think it's provided. No.
I think the hardware is not. Is it real hardware? Is it VMware stuff? Is it what is the virtualization platform here? I don't see it. Am I just missing it?
I was probably on the VMs. So I see that in the logs. They're using the CAPI v115 and KVM3 v112. And then there is an infrastructure vSphere, which is v1.3.0.
Okay.
So two infrastructure providers in the logs and the issue description itself.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I missed this line. Yes, you are right. Okay, then I will just accept it. CAPI EPAM contract. I think this is what we were discussing, right? That the EPAM equivalent feature is being implemented inside CAPI, right?
Yes, yeah, we have to do the same, like integration. Basically, as you see, that's implemented in CAPI. The PR got merged, and now we can integrate IBAMs through the CAPI, and this is a good thing you're following. And the person who opened this also is willing to work on this feature, which is even better.
Yeah, I was just thinking, what should I write? I think I assign this person.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Good. And then no support for boot. Okay, this actually is this. Yeah, and there is nobody from the BMO developers anymore, but I am very tempted to accept this because it basically a feature that is present in Ironic, but it is missing from the BMO. I think I will CC here Dimitri, and I will write that. In my
If this is existing feature in Ironic but not in BMO, maybe you can also tag it with the feature request.
yeah, you're right. Yes, and then oh, sorry, this is not a PR. Yep. Okay, so we have finished with the triaging. So we have a few that like two that actually this control plane provisioning and one other that was from the same person that looks like the same issue from different angles. And it's probably just a misconfiguration with the network interfaces on the Ironic side. And then we have two feature requests that I think should be fine. Okay, let's go check the stale ones. Yeah, this is not stale. I accepted it, but was it like this? I'm not sure. Oh, here it is. This is not a stale. I hope it removes it. I might not have the rights. Okay, we have for the IPA download the reproducible builds. That's stale. And then this one. Well, I don't know what to do with this. This is this was reported. We accepted it, but this one is just not. Nobody's looking at this issue.
Can you scroll down? What was the last discussion there?
It was just a clarification from Zain. Let me ask this person. It's very old. Sure. Forget the problem today. The BS. I have this. It is probably for my first idea would be simply that the certificates are not mounted correctly in for the ironic deployment, and that's why it is not even trying to communicate through HTTPS. Yeah. Yeah, I think it is ironic related, or I mean, yeah, ironic. I think it just downgrades itself to use HTTP, but I'm not sure. I will, yeah, but I have wanted also on this. I will remove this. I will remove this stale from here, but I think it's just misconfiguration. So if somebody have time to verify this, please verify this. This idea that maybe it's just caused because of the missing certificates. That would be my idea. I might look into this when I have time, but I won't have it in the near future. Okay, this was all the stale. Frozen. I don't even think that there is much point checking the frozen ones. There is one. This will stay frozen, and then the have wanted tags. Just to recap. Yes, this is handled by the hardware classification developers. These are all user guides. So if anybody wants to write documentation, please do. That would be a big help. And then there are a few dev improvements from Leonard. Leonard started to work on some of these, but anyone can just join in. There is a bug report from Furkat. Nobody seemed to, or did anybody look into this? It's quite the discussion on this. Oh,
Yeah,
this.
this is related to the kind of related to the releases. There was another issue.
Oh, that's the one I was looking for. More frequent releases that I was telling earlier. That issue.
Yeah, that's
The
the one.
correction link.
Yeah. Okay, but it's actually have attention. Good. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Then. Yeah, and then this is the one that I just removed the staff from. Proposal of using dirty repos for deployment. Yeah, this is again a improvement for the devenv. We have a few of these. And this was again improvement just to log more things. And then the storage error that we discussed. So these are the things that are still there and still need help. Okay, I think that's all. Does any of you have any questions, suggestions?
No, not from my side.
No, thank you.
Yeah, then thank you for your time and attention, and we will see each other next week. Bye bye.
Thanks a lot, Adam. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.